During the financial crisis, our viewers may not remember, but banks that would go under in the United States, you would announce it after the markets closed on a Friday afternoon, and you would say that it's been assumed by another bank and it will be open for business and people can, go into the new bank on Monday. It was in the midst of this chaos, it was a remarkably orderly process. Yes, but underlying all of that, there weren't massive bank failures. There were some big banks that went down, but weren't massive bank failures. Is that related to bank capital requirements?
Yes, it very much is. In the United States, we have something called a leverage ratio, which they do not have in Europe. And basically, that says that you have to have a minimum of 5% against any asset. So if you're making a mortgage loan, if you're investing in treasury debt, whatever it may be, you have to have 5% of your own skin in the game in that investment. In Europe, they have something called risk-based capital, a loan, which basically, and under the framework they use, they basically allow bank managers to decide how risky their assets are. And with the sovereign debt investments, there's a 0% capital. So you can invest in sovereign debt with completely leveraged money. You don't have to put any of your own skin in the game into it. And because of that, European banks loaded up on a lot of sovereign debt. And they have a problem now with that, a big problem with it.
Is that a change? Because we used to think of sovereign debt as the safest kind of debt, unless you were an unusual country that was unstable. Generally speaking, I would have thought 15 years ago that would have been an acceptable way of doing things. So do we have to change that ratio?
I think you need a leverage ratio because over time, perceptions about how risky an asset is changes. And that's why you have a leverage ratio. It's a hard and fast 5% requirement, no matter what today you may think is the riskiness of that asset. You still have to have 5% of your own capital against it. You just don't know. U.S. Treasuries look very safe now. Certainly the world is flocking to them. With their fiscal problems, 5-10 years from now, I don't know if that's still going to be the case, which is why I think having that hard and fast leverage ratio is very important to keeping banks solvent.
Sheila, so given everything that you've just had to say, are you basically saying that, all of this planning that's gone into Basel III and these new banking resolutions which will affect all of these other countries outside the U.S., do they not come to much, in your opinion?
Oh, they come to a lot. No, I don't want to imply that at all. And actually, part of the Basel III process, we got agreement for an international leverage ratio. It's 3%, not 5%. I'd like both numbers to be higher. But the Basel III leverage ratio includes some off-balance sheet exposures, so it is a little more robust than the 3% might suggest. But I think that was a huge improvement, and I hope very much that the Europeans implement it. We also significantly raised the risk-based ratio. It's up to 9.5% for the mega institutions now. That's for tangible common equity. It was at a 2% under Basel II. So these are tremendous improvements, and I hope very much that the Europeans implement this. It's going to take time. Their banks don't have enough capital now. It's going to take time for them to build up those capital cushions. But I very much hope that Europe maintains the political resolve to move forward with Basel III and fully implement it before the end of 2018, which is the deadline that was set by the committee.
I went around the newsroom and I just sort of randomly asked people what they thought those ratios should be, and most people were shocked to know that it's sometimes in lower than double digits. But that's a separate issue.
I always want more capital. Yes.
In a moment I'm going to talk to Ed Clark, the CEO of TD Bank. And, the Canadian banking system has often been thought of as being safe. TD Bank is thought of as being a secure bank. Their ratios at the bank are actually higher. Do you share the view that there's something about the Canadian system that makes it a more stable banking system?
Well, I do. I mean, Canada's always had a leverage ratio as well, and we're supporters of an international leverage ratio during the Basel Committee discussions. I think they're more risk averse. I think they're more accepting of regulation and a regulatory culture. Some people say there are trade-offs to that you have more stricter regulation. You also have more constraints on product innovation. So others say, we used to say the U.S. is more innovative, but innovation can go awry. And so I think there needs to be a happy balance there. And it looks like the Canadians, to me, have struck it. Their system has weathered this crisis very well. And people in Canada feel better about their banking system, too. It really troubles me in the U.S., the cynicism that the broader population has against banks right now. Because we need banks. Whether we like them or not, we need them.
Yep. They are the way that we get money from those who have excess capital to those who need it. Sheila Bair, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for joining us.
Nice talking to you, Eli. Thank you.